Good evening, it's Thursday, 6th of February, and here's what's making news around the world in World News Tonight. Diplomatic talks. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit the United States for bilateral talks, expected to meet Trump and attend presidential dinner. Executive order. Trump signs executive order banning transgender athletes from women's sports. Artistic revelation. Centuries-old hidden portrait discovered beneath Titian paintings in Cyprus, depicting an unidentified man.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Mehin De Silva.
We are starting the bulletin today with news coming from India. The White House says that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the United States next week and meet President Donald Trump. Other reports say Modi will attend a dinner hosted by the United States President on the two-day trip. The dates of the official working visit have yet to be announced.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Washington, D.C. next week, marking his first official meeting with US President Donald Trump since Trump's second term began. Modi will be only the second foreign leader to meet with Trump at the White House, highlighting India's growing strategic importance in US foreign policy. The visit is expected to focus on trade negotiations, military purchases, energy agreements, and artificial intelligence collaborations. While India looks to ease trade tensions by reducing tariffs and increasing US imports, Trump's bold geopolitical maneuvers in the Middle East may pose challenges for India's traditionally cautious diplomacy. Another key figure in Modi's visit could be Tesla CEO Elon Musk, a longtime supporter of the Indian leader. While a formal meeting has not yet been confirmed, Musk, who's currently based near the White House, could join discussions or meet Modi separately. Modi's itinerary is still being finalized, but sources say he will arrive late on February 12th, with all meetings scheduled for February 13th, including possible state dinner before departing early on February 14th. With high expectations for trade and strategic ties, this visit could define the next phase of US-India relations.
Heading over to Thailand now. Thailand cut electricity supplies to several areas in neighboring Myanmar that are home to sites at the center of a global billion-dollar online scam industry. Online scam factories, many run by Chinese crime syndicates, have proliferated in Myanmar, which has been driven by a bloody civil war since the military seized power in 2021.
Thailand cut power supply, fuel and internet to some border areas with Myanmar on Wednesday. It's an attempt to choke scam syndicates operating out of there that have become a growing security concern. Scam compounds in Southeast Asia are suspected to have entrapped hundreds of thousands of people in illegal and telecom operations, generating billions of dollars annually, according to a 2023 UN report. Thai Interior Minister Anutin Chanvirakul visited the Provincial Electricity Authority headquarters in Bangkok on Wednesday to oversee the effort to fight the crime rings. Thailand has been concerned about the scam operations' impact on its vital tourism sector and has sought to allay safety concerns of visitors from China, which is a key source market. The issue was thrown into the spotlight after Chinese actor Wang Xing was abducted after arriving in Thailand last month. He was later freed by Thai police, who found him in Myanmar. The areas in Myanmar where electricity was suspended were named by the UN Security Council's chief on Monday as sites of transnational crime ring operations. Many of the syndicates are of Chinese origin, the UN has said. A resident in one border town told Reuters that while many locals faced power cuts since Wednesday morning, Chinese-run businesses, including scam centers, have continued to run on generators.
Well, staying in the region, protesters in Bangladesh have vandalized and set fire to the former family home of deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, as well as those of the other members of her party. The unrest was sparked by news that Hasina would address the country via social media from India, where she has been in exile since a student-led revolt ousted her last year. The rally was organized alongside a broader call dubbed Bulldozer Procession to disrupt Hasina's scheduled 9 p.m. online address. Protesters, many aligned with the Students Against Discrimination group, had expressed their fury over Hasina's speech, which they viewed as a challenge to the newly formed interim government. Tensions have been escalating in Bangladesh since August 2024, when mass protests forced Hasina to flee to neighboring India. The interim government, led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, has struggled to maintain control as protests and unrest have continued. Demonstrators have attacked symbols of Hasina's government, including the house of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which was first set ablaze in August. A symbol of the country's establishment, the house is where Bangabandhu, as he is popularly known, declared Bangladesh's independence from Pakistan in 1971. China has accused the United States of making unfounded and false allegations about its role in the drug trade to justify tariffs on Chinese products. The complaint was lodged with the World Trade Organization after the United States President Donald Trump raised border taxes on Chinese goods by 10%, a measure he said was intended to address an influx of illegal drugs. In the filing, China said the measures were discriminatory and protectionist and violated trade rules.
China filed a World Trade Organization complaint against U.S. President Donald Trump's new 10% tariff on Chinese imports. In the Wednesday filing, China argues that the tariff, as well as Trump's cancellation of a duty-free exemption for low-value packages, are protectionist and break WTO rules. It says the duties are discriminatory and, quote, are imposed on the basis of unfounded and false allegations concerning China. Beijing's complaint also comes after Trump's move to shut a trade loophole that allowed small-value packages to be shipped duty-free. The so-called de minimis provision, used widely by e-commerce giants like Shein and Temu, exempted packages with goods worth less than $800 from duties. Around 1.36 billion shipments entered the United States using the de minimis provision in 2024. The Trump administration has blamed the de minimis exemption for allowing fentanyl and its precursor chemicals to enter the U.S. unscreened. Recent Reuters reporting has also found that drug traffickers are exploiting the exemption. Beijing's Wednesday WTO filing could lead to a ruling that Trump's duties violated trade rules, in the same manner that a 2020 ruling found that his first-term China tariffs broke trade regulations. However, such a victory would be unlikely to satisfy Beijing because the WTO's appeals body has been largely inoperable for years. That's because of Washington's blocking of appointments of appellate judges over what it views as judicial overreach by the body, which has prohibited a final decision in the 2020 case.
Let's take a short commercial break now. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. United States President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's sports. Under the order, federal government funding will be denied to educational institutes that allow trans and girls and women to participate in female sports and use female locker rooms.
President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed an executive order to exclude transgender girls and women from participating in female school sports, under his interpretation of Title IX. Critics say Trump's directive stomps on the rights of a small minority of athletes, but Republicans say the directive restores fairness in sports and protects girls in schools. Trump's order also instructs the State Department to demand changes within the International Olympic Committee to prevent transgender athletes from competing. The Trump administration has taken aim broadly at transgender rights since taking office on January 20th. While Trump supporters have hailed the president for making good on campaign promises, critics say Trump has overstepped his executive authority.
The U.S. Postal Service has resumed accepting parcels from mainland China and Hong Kong following a brief suspension after Donald Trump changed the rules on import taxes. USPS said it was working with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection to ensure the least disruption to package deliveries as the United States President announced trade measures, which include higher tariffs on Chinese goods.
The U.S. Postal Service did a U-turn on Wednesday. It had suspended the delivery of parcels coming from China and Hong Kong, but later said it will now accept them. That follows President Donald Trump's move to shut a trade loophole that allowed small-value packages to be shipped duty-free. The so-called de minimis provision allowed importers and US shoppers to avoid duties on goods worth less than $800. The change posed a big challenge for fast-growing online retailers like Temu and Shein. They've built big businesses shipping products from China at rock-bottom prices, often using the de minimis rule. USPS did not immediately comment on whether its temporary suspension had been tied to Trump's order ending de minimis shipments from China.
We're going to do very well against China and against everybody else.
His move was announced on Saturday and came into force from 1 minute past midnight on Tuesday. Shein and Temu might face further complications in the US. Reports by news website Semaphore claim the Department of Homeland Security could add the pair to its list of firms suspected of using forced labour. The report said no final decision had been made. Both firms denied using forced labour. Responding to Trump's tariffs, Beijing has put several US firms, including Alphabet's Google, on notice that they could face sanctions by China.
Now for an update on the ongoing situation in Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine each said that 150 of their captured soldiers had been returned in the latest prisoner of war exchange between the two warring countries. The two sides regularly swap prisoners of war in one of the only forms of cooperation between Kyiv and Moscow amid the nearly 3-year war.
Russia and Ukraine conducted a major exchange of prisoners of war on Wednesday, with each side releasing 150 soldiers. The swap took place in an undisclosed location mediated by the United Arab Emirates. The released Russian soldiers were transported to Belarus for medical examination and rehabilitation before returning to Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the return of Ukrainian personnel, including members of the Navy, Air Force, and ground forces. The last exchange of prisoners took place in December of last year.
Panama has denied claims by the White House that it agreed to allow the United States government vessels to transit the Panama Canal for free. In response to the U.S. State Department comments, the Panama Canal Authority reaffirmed its exclusive authority to set tolls and fees, stating that no adjustments have been made to its policies.
Panama has denied claims of a free transit deal for U.S. government ships. The U.S. State Department had made the claim in a social media post, saying it would save millions of dollars per year. But the Panama Canal Authority later responded with a statement to say it had not made any change to fees, though it said it was open to dialogue over what would happen to charges in the event of wartime. Now the denial is likely to ratchet up tensions, with the waterway a key concern for Donald Trump's new administration. He says China has too much influence over the canal, and he's accused Panama of charging excessive rates for US vessels. Trump has threatened to retake control of the canal to change that, and hasn't ruled out using force.
What Panama has done is terrible for national security for this part of the world.
Last weekend, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio visited the area and held talks with country President Jose Raul Mulino. Panama later said it would review China's role in canal operations. Hong Kong-based firm CK Hutchison has a concession to operate ports at both ends of the trade route. Panama also said it would let its participation in China's Belt and Road Global Infrastructure Plan expire. Rubio said that was a great step forward. On Wednesday, China said it had lodged complaints with the US over what it called irresponsible remarks regarding its role in the canal. Beijing said cooperation with Panama under the Belt and Road Initiative was proceeding as normal.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. A woman in Southern California has made it her mission to bring back photos that blew away from people's homes as they burned in the recent Southern California wildfires. As the photos are located sometimes miles away, they are posted online and are being returned to the owners. Take a look.
It started with one picture, then another and another. Family photos, a yearbook, a child's artwork now charred. Claire Schwartz says these images are among dozens that rained down during the firestorm that ripped through Altadena, found in some cases miles away, and then posted online. And so Claire began collecting and cleaning these lost images, creating Eaton Fire found photos in the hopes of reuniting them with their owners. Enter Hootie Marginian, who says during her family's rush to evacuate, the trunk of their car snapped open and boxes of their most precious photos flew out. But then a family friend recognized Hootie on Claire's Instagram. Now Claire returning these irreplaceable photographs. A single snapshot developed into so much more.
And finally tonight, researchers in Cyprus have discovered a hidden portrait that lay undetected for centuries beneath a painting by Titian, a rendering of which is now on display in the city of Limassol. The newly discovered work shows an unidentified man with a thin moustache, quill in hand, standing next to a stack of papers or books.
This painting was holding a centuries-old secret that art historians were thrilled to find. A close examination of Ecce Homo by Renaissance artist Titian revealed another painting underneath. Researchers in Cyprus say the painting of Jesus Christ was hiding a previous painting that they're still trying to decode. They do know it was very different from the work on top. The rendering of the mysterious painting is on display at the Cyprus Institute until March, so people can view it for themselves.
Well, that's a wrap from all of us at World News Tonight. Up next, Anuradhi Wickramasinghe is standing by for the nightly business report. I'm Hinda Silva. We are going to leave you with visuals of Cristiano Ronaldo's statue that was unveiled in Times Square. Thank you for having us. Have a good night.